Okay, so today we are doing some more with our logical reasoning. Today it's inductive and deductive reasoning. So there are two types. We have inductive reasoning, which uses a number of specific examples to come up with a generalization or a prediction. And then you are going to use a conjecture, which is an educated guess based on information that you already know. So it's going to be an educated guess based on information you already know. So information that you already know. All right. So here we go. Let's make a conjecture about the next item in the following sequence. Okay, so let's see if we can generalize. All right. So to go from 1 to 2, I add 1. To go from 2 to 4, I add 2. To go from 4 to 8, I add 4. And to go from 8 to 16, I add 8. So if you notice, you're adding the previous number. So if I do 1, 2, 4, 8, then I'm going to add 16 to the 16 and get 32. So I made a conjecture about the next sequence, about the next number in the sequence, using information I already knew. I knew I was adding the next number. So make a conjecture based on the given information. Draw a figure to illustrate your conjecture. So if I were to draw angle ABC, so if I draw angle ABC, so I'm going to draw angle ABC over here. So I'm going to say A, B, C, and it's 45 degrees. Then it says angle CBD is 135 degrees. So what conjecture can we make based on these? I could say that angle ABC plus angle CBD equals 180 because they are a linear pair. And since both of them used CB, I knew that that was going to be their shared side and that B was their shared vertex. Okay, if angle A is equal to angle B and angle B is equal to angle C, then since angle B is equal to both, then that's going to mean that angle A is equal to angle C. So this is a property we'll learn more about later, and it's called transitive. Angle A equals 30. So if I were to draw angle A as 30 degrees and angle B was 60 degrees, then I could say that angle A plus angle B equaled 90 because they're complementary angles. All right, moving on to number 5. So we're going to use this picture this time so that we can answer the next few questions. All right. So if QB is an angle bisector, so if this ray is a bisector of this whole angle, then these two are congruent. Don't forget to put your marks. What is the conjecture that you can make? Well, I know if I took the whole angle and bisected it, that I have two equal pieces, so my conjecture would be that angle ABQ is congruent to angle QBC. Okay, so for the next one, you would want to erase your marks because it's a new problem. So my new problem, I would say, if Q is in the interior of the whole angle, then I know that this angle plus this angle equals the whole angle. So I would make the conjecture, based on things I already know, that angle ABQ plus angle QBC equals angle ABC. All right. Now, moving on to the back page, where we're going to talk about deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning has two different laws. It has the law of detachment and the law of syllogism. The law of detachment means if you've got if P, then Q, so your conditional statement, if the first part, then the second part is true, and P is true, then Q is automatically true. So if your first part is true, then your second part's going to be true. In syllogism, it's kind of like transitive. If P then Q and Q then R is true, then P then R is also true. So let's take a look at some examples. Okay, the law of detachment. If two angles are vertical angles, so here is my hypothesis, then they are congruent. So here is my conclusion. So if P, then Q. So is that true? If two angles are vertical, then they are congruent? Yes, that is true. Because if you were to take two angles, this angle is congruent to this angle because they're vertical. So if angle A and angle B are vertical, so if this is angle A and this is angle B, if they are vertical, then Q, they are congruent, must be true. So angle A and angle B are congruent. Okay, using the detachment. If the measure of an angle is less than 90, so if the measure is less than 90, then it is acute. If angle ABC is 87, so it's an angle less than 90, then by the law of detachment, angle ABC is acute. So if P, then Q is true, and P is true, then Q is also true. Okay. If two lines intersect to form a right angle, then they are perpendicular. Line M and line N form a right angle. So if I were to draw two lines, so this would be M and N, and they form a right angle, then guess what? Line M and line N are perpendicular. So now we're going to determine if these two are valid or invalid based on the information given. So if two segments are congruent, then their measures are equal. AB is congruent to BC. So here's AB, here's BC. If they are congruent, then BC equals CD. This is invalid because this has nothing to do with this. All right. If a point is a midpoint of a segment, so if I have a segment over here, and I have a point that's the midpoint, so that means this piece equals this piece, then the two created segments are congruent. Yes, I have them marked as congruent. If B is the midpoint, so B is the midpoint of AC, then AB is congruent to BC. This would be valid. All right, now let's do the law of syllogism, okay? The law of syllogism is if P then Q and Q then R is also true, then P then R is also true. So if Molly arrives at school at 7:30 a.m., so here's the P, she will get help in math. So here's the Q. If Molly gets help in math, so here's the Q, then she will pass her math test. So here's the R. So if I put these two together, then I need the blue statement and the green statement. If Molly arrives at school at 7:30 a.m., then she will pass her math test. That would be the law of syllogism. Okay, let's do it again. If the measure of a substance is PB, then it is lead. So there's my P, then my Q. If a substance is lead, so there's the Q, then its atomic number is 82. So I need the blue and the red. If the symbol of a substance is Pb, then its atomic number is 82. So it's kind of like taking two complete thoughts and leaving the middle part out. So now let's decide if these two are valid or invalid based on the information that's given. So let me get this box out of here. All right, there we go. All right, a ballet, so ballet dancers like classical music. So couldn't I say, if you're a ballet dancer, so let's just type this up here. So I'm going to say, if you are a ballet dancer, comma, then you like classical music, period. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and I'm also going to make it darker so we can see it better. All right. So if you are a ballet dancer, then you like classical music. So here is, I'm going to say you are a ballet dancer, then you like classical music. So that's A. So this is our A. So if you like classical music, so you like classical music, then you enjoy the opera. So is this valid? If you are a ballet dancer, red, red, then you enjoy the opera. So this one would be valid. So sometimes you may have to take your statement and make it if then. So let's try the next one. If you are athletic, then you enjoy sports. If you are competitive, okay, that's not the same green, so you are competitive, then you enjoy sports. So that's green again. If you are competitive, then you are athletic. Okay, so this one would be invalid because it doesn't follow the rule. P, then Q, Q, then R, P, then R. It doesn't follow. So this would be our P, and enjoy sports, enjoy, this part right here should be our Q. So that one would be considered invalid. So that is the end of today. So see you guys when you get back from the fair.